Well, let's go ahead and get started, and hopefully we'll get some more people joining. Hello, Luis.
Hey, Louise.
My name's Emily Cabbage, and I am the Director of Marketing at NAFA. And today we are here for NAFA's Advisor Ambassador Program, and we have a very special treat for you. We have 2018 NAFA Yacht Leader of the Year, John D. Richardson, based out of Nashville, Tennessee. And John is a former president of NAFA Tennessee as well. John is well, he'll tell you more about himself. I won't steal his thunder, but I've been very fortunate to work side by side with John for the past 3 or 4 years, and have had a lot of fantastic information that I have learned from him. So, without any further ado, John, let me turn it over to you.
Thanks, Emily. And you guys, Louise, give me a thumbs up. You can hear me just fine? Okay, very good. All right, let me share my screen with you guys. And again, I'm excited to be here, y'all. This is going to be a lot of fun. This is the ambassador program is near and dear to my heart as one of the very first speakers to actually be on when the ambassador program was rolled out several years ago. I was one of the first ones to actually have an opportunity to share my thoughts with this group. And so I'm glad to be back here today. So let me make sure I get the mouse working. So today's topic is a family tradition. These are 10 timeless life and business lessons I've learned from my NAFA family. So when I talk about NAFA, I don't use the word federation or organization. I use the word family because to me, NAFA is my family. A little bit about your speaker. I'm John Richardson. I'm actually I'm talking to you guys from Nashville, Tennessee today. About myself professionally, I'm a comprehensive fee-based financial planner. And I've been in the business 16 years, been a NAFA member every year. I've been in the business. I'm the past president of NAFA Tennessee. And of course, this is a picture of me on the stage in 2018, getting the Yacht Leader of the Year award and getting a red coat, which is part of that fun process. On a personal note, I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm very proud to be involved with the Boy Scouts. I actually, believe it or not, serve with the same Boy Scout troop on a weekly basis. I've got about a dozen or so hormonal, knife-wielding pyromaniacs that I work with. And it's the same Boy Scout troop that I got my Eagle Scout is the one that I work with and volunteer with. Of course, you know, the scouts and the adult leaders have all changed since, you know, back in the 80s when I was involved in scouting, but the building's the same. It's kind of like when you go back to your old elementary school and that musty smell is still the same. Well, it's the same thing with our scout house. It's the same throwback to back then. So I'm very involved in scouting. I'm also a big fan of tabletop strategy board games. And so for those folks who know what Settlers of Catan is, it's not Monopoly. That's for kids. We're talking about strategy games. Like if you enjoy playing chess, if you enjoy games where you're using your mind and thinking, that's what I enjoy doing. And I have a guys' game night practically every other Friday. My wife, Kelly, she's a physical therapist here in Nashville, Tennessee. And like I mentioned, I'm born and raised in Nashville. So today, our agenda is this. I'm going to introduce you to several people in my life. Now, I've got a NAFA family. It's pretty vast. I'm thankful to be a part of it. For the sake of time, I basically picked 10. I'm going to omit some people that I'm big fans of, but I wanted to make sure I cover different topics to make sure that I engage as many people as possible with different thoughts. So I'm going to introduce you some of my NAFA family members, share with you the lessons that I've learned from being in life, doing life with them, and then challenge you to take away from my experience having worked with them. I'm going to share a bunch of stories. And I know for those folks, if you're on this call, that means you're basically checking out NAFA. So I'm going to encourage you to join my NAFA family so that the next time we meet in person, which I believe is later on this year in December, when we have a big conference up in DC, I'd love to meet you face to face and grab a bite to get to know you in person. So grab a bite with you while you're there, as I love making new friends. So the title of this family tradition comes from Hank Williams Jr. Being in Nashville, Tennessee, yes, I'm a country music fan. Yes, I do like Taylor Swift, as well as other types of music. And so the 10 timeless life and business lessons I've learned from my NAFA comes from the Hank Williams Jr. song, Family Tradition. So first things first, I'm going to start with the best. I mean, that's just the best way to do this. The Leadership in Life Institute, which is a Dale Carnegie course that's exclusive to NAFA members, started everything. Now, like I said, I joined NAFA many years ago, but I would just show up to a meeting And most meetings, just like any, like if you're a Rotary or Civitan or these local community events, they've got a good meal and a good speaker, but it was kind of, it was okay. It wasn't amazing. And I was this close to quitting. And I mean, I was 2 years in the business. Like I'm done with the business. I'm done with with NAFA. I'm out, until I got an invitation to go through this class, the Leadership and Life Institute. And that changed everything for me. By reading books by Stephen Covey and John Maxwell and learning from thought leaders in different areas, I took time out of my business, as Michael Gerber would say in the book E-Myth, to work on my business, not just in my business. This lady right here, her name is Brenda Spear. She and a guy by the name of Bobby Queener, the two of them were my Lilly moderators back in 2008. From that experience, and actually, this is my my paddle from Lilly. Not every class does a Lilly paddle, but we did because we thought it was had a cool fraternity feel to it. But long story short, from that experience, I learned a lot about myself. I wrote a business plan that I kept, where I learned actually how to double my productivity after going through Lilly, learning how to work on my business more effectively. One of the other assignments you do is you write your own eulogy, which sounds crazy. Who writes a story about their life, which their friend is then reading at their funeral service? But the idea behind that is you're beginning with the end in mind. If you start your life knowing what you want to be when you grow up and you're in your 80s or 90s, and the story that you've left behind, that's the beauty of the Leadership and Life Institute. So got to go through that experience. From that experience, I learned to give from the heart is what Brenda taught me. I was blessed last year to be a co-moderator with her. This is our Lilly class. This is Brenda and myself. Yes, I'm a bow tie guy. That's my thing. These are our students in our class. And this year I actually got to lead the moderate class and brought somebody behind me. So I'm paying that tradition forward of giving back to a amazing experience. These are my scouts with the Boy Scout troop that I work with. We're going to a high adventure camp out west called Philmont Scout Ranch. For those folks who know, Philmont is like the Disney World for scouts. It's amazing. We're going to be hiking 68 miles, actually backpacking 68 miles, about 40 pounds on our backs over 12 days. And it's insane, but it's going to be amazing. A lot of my scouts have never been around horses, and we're going to do some horseback riding while we're out there. We're actually walking a donkey, I think it's what it's called, or a burro, packing up gear on them. And so part of that, of taking care of a burro for a day, is learning how to clean their hooves and so forth. So Brenda has a beautiful horse farm down in southern middle Tennessee. She knows my heart to give back to scouting. She knows my involvement with NAFA. She's like, why don't you bring your boys on down and let's have a weekend and teach them all about horses at no cost to my troop. And we were able to go there, and her horse, her name's Fancy, and is a sweet horse, and Buddy, her dog, and it was awesome. So long story short, for my lesson number one from my Lilly mom, Brenda Spear, I learned to give from the heart. Lesson two is my good buddy, Ron Morrow. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a picture of him wearing a suit and tie, but it wouldn't matter. Most of the time I've spent with Ron is at football games with the Tennessee Titans. So remember, I graduated from Lilly. Part of the commitments was to give back 2 years to your local association or affiliate or chapter. And so Ron's like, John, remember the lunches I talked about, how it was like rubber chicken, kind of traditional, boring lunches? He knew that, and I knew that. He said, John, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to be a disruptor, which means I need you, not literally, but figuratively or metaphorically speaking, set things on fire. Let's mess with this. Let's flip the script. Let's mess with everything, the status quo that we've had for many, many years with NAFA, and let's mess with this be a disruption to our association. And again, a definition of disruptor is a person or a thing that interrupts an event, an activity, or a process by causing a disturbance or a problem. I don't like the word problem. I didn't see myself as a problem. I saw myself as a way of undoing a lot of, we got 100 years of tradition, plus 100 years of tradition. But after a while, everything was just kind of, it's like you go to church and you sit in the same pew, same place, and you just kind of get in routines, and people show up and they leave. It's like, what if we spice things up? What if we actually had events where our members could get to know each other at football games? And that's where Ron and I got to know each other. And what if we went to comedy shows? What if we went to other places? And so, long story short, through my time working with Ron, I was able to be a disruptor. I was able to get out there and stir the pot, as Ron would say, and light fires. And he said, John, I tell you this, you're going to upset some people in the process. There's going to be people who when they see what you're doing, they're going to be upset because we haven't done this before. And that's okay. I've got your back. And so in life, whether you are the disruptor or you have somebody in your life, my challenge or my life lesson for you would be go mess with the status quo, but be sure you got somebody who's got your back so that if you step out of bounds, they can cover for you and you're good to go. My third lesson is from my good buddy, Corey Anderson. Now, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. Corey's up in Minnesota, in the St. Paul, Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota area. He's also known as the Disability Insurance Geek or the DI Geek. I am a comprehensive fee-based planner. I hold myself as a fiduciary, so which means I do what's always in my client's best interest. Yes, I sell life insurance and disability insurance and investments. In order for me to be excellent at the planning process and the investment management, I realize there's certain areas that perhaps I'm good, but I'm not the greatest. Corey specializes in all things disability insurance. So when it comes to income protection, with my clients, as they go through the process, if they need estate planning, I have an estate planning attorney or a group of them I refer people to. If a person needs a CPA, I have a list of CPAs I refer people to. Even though I'm licensed to do disability insurance, I refer people to my buddy Corey. He works with several different disability insurance. This is not an infomercial for him. Basically, I'm able to delegate to him. But through that process, being a NAIFA member, we have a great symbiotic relationship where it's a mutual trust. This past year, and during COVID, I was able to mask up my wife, Kelly, and I. We went up to Minnesota, got to hop on his boat. This is a family photo with Corey. He's always on his boat. I'll show you another picture in a second. Him as the boat captain. This is Maddie, his youngest son, who's a goofball and super fun. There's actually one of his kids are missing here. He's got 4 kids in total. But from Corey, I learned you put family first. And when you look at his calendar and when people are looking to have, and I say, you need to talk to Corey about your income protection. Let's schedule your appointment. I pull up his calendar and he's got one of those like Calendly calendars where you can kind of choose what date and time works best for you. Well, if you look at it, he's got times early in the morning, a few times during the day, and a lot late at night. And most of my clients are like, why is he working at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night? And I was like, well, 2 reasons. 1, he's coast to coast. 2, he has a lot of time during the day with his family. And so he puts a lot of openings at the evening so that he, even though after his family has gone to bed, he can still work with those folks in his business. So I learned a lot of valuable lessons about putting family first. And then also he works from anywhere. He doesn't have an office. That's another thing I learned last year from 2020. I'm working from home now. I've got a beautiful office in Franklin. However, in Nashville, which is about 20 minutes north of Franklin, is where I do most of my client meetings via Zoom. Because at the end of the day, if you can build rapport and trust with somebody on the line via Zoom, then do you really need to encourage people to come to your office? Some people are old school and that's the way they work. But I've learned from Corey that you can remotely work with people and still make a heart level connection with them. That's my lesson 3A. My 3B lesson. Yes, this is an embarrassing photo of me on a boat. I am wearing 2 life jackets. One is a normal way of wearing it, and the second one is upside down. Why is that? Because I am not, there's a lot of great things that John Richardson is good at, such as talking to strangers. When I was in college, sold books and Bibles door to door for 5 summers. I love connecting with people. And like I mentioned, everybody who's on this call, look forward to get to know you as a member and then seeing you in DC this December when we have our in-person leadership event. With that being said, I'm not a big fan of water. So I'm all covered up and I got his hat and it was a big time on the boat. This is Corey, the seaboat captain, and his wife. And we got to travel. He's up in Minnesota, got to travel to Wisconsin, tried cheeses and different types of fun food up there. Took a fun picture with a buffalo because that's what you do when you're road tripping. So you got to make time for fun. So that's another lesson I learned from my buddy, Corey Anderson. So that's lesson number 3. Lesson number 4. This is my good friend, Marcus Henderson. Known Marcus for many, many years. So Marcus is he's got several quotes. He is a polished presenter. He has spoken main platform at NAIFA events, online events. He recently spoke at an event that NAIFA was hosting, which is a gap coverage analysis that FINRA and the folks at LIMRA were trying to get out to encourage people to buy more life insurance. But Marcus, one of the biggest takeaways I took from my time with Marcus is that your reputation walks in the door before you do. Good or bad, your reputation is going to precede you. Well, make sure it's a good one. If you can tell, Marcus is a Dapper Dan man. He is a snappy dresser. And I actually wear French cuffs because Marcus wears French cuffs. Marcus he always has the perfect pocket square or the perfect area. Now I'm just rocking a NAFA pin, but I want to make sure that I'm put together. So when I walk into a room, I want people to know that I'm there and that I have a pleasant disposition and that I am there to serve. And that is Marcus he's always prepared. He has a servant's heart and he is a giver. And so those folks that know him, they look forward to seeing him because as we've all heard, people don't remember exactly what you say, but they sure remember how you make them feel. And so he does a great job of making people feel appreciated and cared about. And his reputation is a positive, strong one that precedes him. So that was a lesson 4 I learned from my good friend Marcus Henderson Sr. He's he's comprehensive fee-based planner here in Nashville, Tennessee. And so there you go. That's my lesson from Marcus. Lesson 5 comes from Karen Bird. Now, I refer to her as my NAFA mom. I've got my Lily mom, Brenda Spear, and I've got Karen Bird as my NAFA mom. Now, if you meet Karen, you'll realize that she is a mom. In fact, she is a mom to a lot of college students who she has successfully recruited into NAFA. These are people who don't have a paycheck and they can, through the affiliate membership program, get it for reduced. NAFA, you can join NAFA from like, I think it's as low as $10 to full freight. I think it's like $50, $60, something like that. Obviously, if you're a broke college kid and you're just getting started, you're on the beginning end, or if you're just getting started in the business. Well, every year, like clockwork, with the exception of last year because of COVID, Karen would go to Austin Peay State University and meet with the college students and talk about the industry that she loves so much and encourage them to get involved in our local affiliate or local chapter in the Clarksville, Tennessee area, which is about 45 minutes north of Nashville. The 101st Airborne, there's a lot of turnover, a lot of military families up there. And so she does a great job of helping people feel heard, caring about others, and being a mom to a lot of college students. Actually, one of the college students I personally recruited to be one of my assistants and do all my back office paperwork. His name is Colin, and he's gone on to go into the industry. And so it's really neat to see how Karen was able to be that bridge builder, bring in college students, get excited about NAFA, and then in turn them join the industry. So for my lesson number 5, again, I learned from Karen is college students, there are our future generation of leaders. So giving back and bringing up people behind you so that we're always adding to it. So we're halfway home. Lesson 6. Now, if you're on this call and you've never heard of Tom Hegna, again, I don't get paid to promote him, but Google him. His book, Paychecks and Playchecks, he also has one that says, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. Tom Hegna is amazing. The thing I learned from him, now he is a professional speaker. He was a producer for many, many years. He then went into, as far as sharing ideas. So he went from being personal production with the company to now he actually travels the United States, partners with folks just like you and me to help our clients learn about the importance of proper retirement income planning, whether that's Social Security maximization, or he's going to talk about paychecks and playchecks. Your paycheck, when you guys know this, people grow money and wealth. There's 2 phases. There's the accumulation phase and there's the distribution phase. So people accumulate these huge 401k plans and they all this money, and then they get to retirement and they got this big question. Well, how do I make my money last? And so I don't outlive my money. Well, his system and his pictures that he shares the stories about creating a paycheck using promise-based income, which would be annuity solutions. And then the playchecks, having money fully invested in the market so that it's inflation, you can keep up with inflation as well as have fun. And I always tell my clients, if the stock market's down, if the stock market's up, great, travel the world, have a good time. If the stock market's down, you know what? Tennessee's got some great state parks. Perhaps it's a good year to take a break and just kind of spend some quality time with your family. Or if a COVID-19 virus comes across, guess what? It's a good time to take a break too and look introspectively. A book I read many years ago, Tom Hegna did not write it. However, highly recommended also is Story Selling for Financial Advisors by a guy named Mitch Anthony and Scott West. This book is fantastic. It talks about diversification, talks about if you were a kid at the mall, if you were like me and you're a little mischievous as a kid, you've probably done this too. But when you were a kid, did you ever walk up the down escalator at the mall? And if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's kind of fun. Well, I use that word picture to talk about inflation when it comes to investing in the market. If you're standing still on that escalator, you're going up the down escalator and you're standing still and you're not moving, you're going to go backwards. Same thing happens to the purchasing power of your money. If your investments are keeping pace with inflation, that's like a slow plotter who's just on that down escalator doing their thing. But if you're the John Richardson, kind of a kid, you're running as hard as you can, you're putting your head down and you're just trying to get to the top because you want to outpace inflation. So when it comes to story selling, the power of story selling and storytelling, again, I learned a lot from Tom Hegna, and that would be my sixth lesson. Lesson number 7 comes from a guy by the name of Brian Haney. Now, Brian Haney is a peer. This guy is, I believe he's right at 40, but you wouldn't know based on all the stuff he's done in his life. And this is not all about Brian Haney and if he's going to watch this today or watch this later to inflate his ego. But the reason I shared the lesson I've learned from Brian Haney is if you're going to participate, be all in. Don't just put your toe in the water, jump both feet. Like if you get into a swimming pool, don't take the steps down, don't ease into the pool. Just just jump in both feet, do a swan dive, a belly flop, whatever. Just jump in both feet into the pool. So let me just tell you a few things about Brian. MDRT, 12 years. Core of the table, which is like the top of the table, 5 years. Top of the table, 3 years. NAIFA's 4 under 40, 2017. NAIFA's Diversity Inclusion Champion, 2018. He's in Washington, D.C., Washington Business Journal's 4 under 40. In 2019, he's got 6 designations, one of which is the CAE. Nobody in our industry gets the CAE, which is the Certified Association Executive. This is for those folks who run associations, that's their designation. The reason why he works with people in the designation space, with the association, that's his company up in DC. He's got a podcast called That's My Financial Guy. I don't know when he sleeps. I know he's married. His wife's name's Kelly, and they've got a sweet daughter. And he's, like I said, keeps a busy life. But one thing I learned from Brian is if you're going to do life, go all in. Don't just halfway do it. Be all in. Be passionate about what your thing is. Lesson 8. This is my good buddy, Dave Cranfield. And from a time standpoint, we're doing great. Dave is a good friend of mine. He is a huge Nebraska Cornhuskers fan. So if any of y'all are from the Midwest, you got a Cornhusker fan right here. So Dave and I became good buds through our trips to Washington, D.C. NAIFA is very active politically. Very active in the advocacy space. We are not we are not red or blue. NAIFA is in the insurance and the investment space. If we're in the insurance and planning and investment party, we're not Republicans or Democrats. We support equally folks on both ends. That being said, from time to time, members of Congress get these great ideas, at least they think there are, and they're not. And they could negatively impact the promises that we've made to our clients. For many, many years, people have bought life insurance, and they've always assumed since the income tax came out back in 1913, I believe it was Woodrow Wilson, in order to protect widows and orphans, they made the death benefits tax-free. And people assume that's the way it's always going to be. It's not the case. NAIFA, as well as many other organizations, go to DC every year to make sure that the promises we've made our clients can be held true. On the whole, usually when we have our day on the Hill, like I said, last year was an off year, but prior to that, anywhere between 600 to 1,000 folks who are NAIFA members across the nation come on in. So that's where I got to know Dave. Dave is a part of the PAC, the Political Action Committee. So he's bold. And that's the lesson I learned from him, was to be bold and don't be afraid to get involved politically. When you're meeting with the member of Congress, know what you're going to talk about, and have your points ready, and know what you're going to ask for on the end. And know when it comes to being involved, much like I talked about my buddy Brian Haney, be all in. And that means being a NAIFA member, but also giving to the PAC. Totally voluntarily. You don't have to, but most people do, because they know that if you're not at the table with the member of Congress, as they say, you're on the menu. And so having knowing that the member of Congress knows that you're helping support them run their campaign, they're going to give you a listening ear. They have to, regardless if you're a constituent, but it sure helps to know when you have that connection there. So when I talked about being bold politically, my buddy Dave Cranfield is also bold when it comes to his food choices. Now, big Nebraska Cornhusker fan. Again, as you met several of these people, I'm going to tell personal stories on them. They can send me hate mail later or call me up and say, John, I wish you hadn't shared this story with my friends nationwide, but why not? Again, it's in good jest, and they know my heart and they know I love them. So Dave was visiting me in Nashville, Tennessee. Every year on Christmas time, Nashville has the Music City Bowl. Well, one year, this is many years ago, the Nebraska Cornhuskers were playing in the game. I don't know if they're playing the Tennessee Volunteers or who they're playing, but nonetheless, Dave shows up. I'm like, hey, you're in town. Let's go grab a bite to eat. Dave said, hey, John, I want to try Nashville's hot chicken. What is that like? Now, again, he's wearing a red, kind of like a polo shirt, and it's got the white Nebraska N on it. We go to this place called Bolton's Hot Chicken. If y'all are ever in the Nashville area, there's Prince's Hot Chicken and Bolton's Hot Chicken. These are the guys who originated the Nashville Hot Chicken many, many years ago. We go in this place, and it's a little hole in the wall. It's not pretty on the outside. It's kind of like a dive bar kind of place, but they do it right. We get in line, we order, and the lady behind the counter asks, what spice level do you want? And he says, I'll take the hot. She looked at him, paused, and said, are you sure? And he said, yeah, I'll take the hot. I can do this. We sat down. Of course, we had things of milk, so we were good, right? We get to the end. Oh, the lady comes out from behind the kitchen, and we're waiting on her food. One more time, she comes out. She said, who ordered the hot chicken? And Dave raised his hand. She said, are you sure you want the hot chicken? He's like, yeah, I'm a big boy. I can handle this. She said, all right. And she went back and she brought out the hot chicken, and we sat there. Now I got to let the record show I can handle my spice, but not hot level. Got the mild. Dave brought it. He brought the heat, literally. And so he's eating this hot chicken. He's like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then the sweat came. And for those folks who know hot chicken, I don't know what they do. It's like infused in it. It's on the outside, it's on the inside. But if every bite, your brain starts to think, this isn't normal. There's something wrong here. And so his forehead started to beat up across, and he started getting sweats. You got just like really hot. And what do you do when your forehead gets really sweaty and it starts to run down in your eyes? Well, you do what any normal person does. You take your hand, you kind of wipe it across your forehead, right? Oh, yeah, he did that. And guess what happened? All those juices from that hot chicken got rubbed right into his eyes. Remember I mentioned that Dave's shirt was red? Well, guess what else was red? His face. I have never seen a person so beat red. He's just like, I'm losing it. Now, I'm a good friend. What does any good friend do? I'm like, hey, man, you should probably go to the bathroom and try to figure that out. But the only problem is it was a one-seater. It's a really small bathroom. It's like a little coat closet. He's in there trying to splash water on his face. Of course, water had made the problem worse, but he's wiping it like crazy. Eventually, after spending about 15, 20 minutes, he was able to get the temperature down. And so suffice it to say, when it comes to being bold in life, you need to be bold when it comes to be politically active, both at the state as well as the federal level, but also be bold when it comes to your food choices, because you only pass through this life once. So why not try some Nashville hot chicken and at least, and do so with friends. I mean, if you're going to torture yourself and go through pain, I mean, company loves misery, or misery loves companies, right? So that's my point number 8, which is from Dave Crampel, be bold. Now, talk about politics. This is my buddy, Mark Miller, and he is from Memphis, Tennessee. Mark and I are totally different, yet we're alike. We're both bold individuals. However, I am not a hardcore black and white kind of person. Mark is definitely black and white. It's either yes or no, on or off. And I'm kind of in the middle. I seek first to understand other people, and I want to be understood. And so Mark and I, though, we were a dynamic duo. If there's a Batman and Robin in politics in Tennessee, we were it a couple years ago. The AARP, well, great organization, and I know a lot of folks who are members, and I'm not saying anything negative about that. They, a couple years ago, thought it'd be wise to inject a state-run retirement plan and to go to our members of the Tennessee General Assembly to try to get passed. Therefore, putting us as NAFA members who are in the investment, insurance, and planning space in direct competition with the state of Tennessee. The state has a great job of making sure that that education and our police and fire and safety is concerned, interstate commerce. There's a lot of things that the state is doing already. Having them enter into the retirement planning space for citizens across the state of Tennessee, putting them directly, the Treasurer's Department directly in competition was a non-starter. So Mark and I got to know our members. We actually had a great relationship with a lot of them. We started making phone calls. The AARP had 5 lobbyists work on this legislation. Mark Miller and myself and a few other folks were able to do a phone tree network. We called out to a bunch of our members, and that's the power of advocacy, which is it's just amazing. It gives you goosebumps to think about what we were able to do. In a period of 3 days, we were able to unwind 8 months worth of work that these lobbyists from the AARP did in damage, trying to paint this picture of the government was the solution when it comes to retirement savings and planning. So long story short, my hat was off to Mark. Definitely want to include him in this just tribute to my family members. That being said, remember, Mark is a black and white kind of guy. He is a literal kind of guy, and I'm a fun-loving. Let's just have some fun in the moment. So Mark's a big baseball guy. He's like, hey John, let's go to the National Washington Nationals baseball game. Remember, we go to DC twice a year in May and December in normal years. So while we were in town, I think it was in May for this game. Actually, it's a baseball game, so it would be in May. We went to the game, and I love getting discounts. I love working a deal, finding it to negotiate. So I said, hey, Mark, let me handle the lady at the ticket counter. Let's see if we can work an angle and perhaps get us a discount. Went to the lady. I was very kind, explained who I was, came all the way from Nashville, Tennessee to come to a game. Are y'all running any kind of specials today? And she's like, well, we've got these seats in the outfield and they're cheaper than the ones behind home plate. That's a deal. And I was like, okay, we'll go there. We'll take those seats. And then I said, but do you get any other kind of discounts? And she's like, well, are you a veteran? And I said, no, ma'am, I'm not a U.S. I've not served my country in that capacity. Are you a senior? No, ma'am, I'm not over age 65. She looked at me and with a smile and a wink, she said, are you a federal employee? And I looked at her and I smiled. And I said, well, I pay my fair share of taxes. I mean, does that make me a federal employee? And she said, works for me. And she gave us a nice discount. So we were able to get into the game on a federal employee discount. Now, again, she offered, who am I to say no to saving $5, $10, whatever it was. We get into the game. Now, Mark, remember, black and white. That was all over him. He was not happy with that. He's like, John, can't believe we lied to this lady and we got tickets under false pretense. What are you doing? What do you think? And I was like, dude, just let it go. It's no big deal. Knowing that you got to mess, your friends you mess with, but your really close friends, you really got to mess with. So the lady down here in the bottom right corner is the usher. I went up to her and I said, hey, ma'am, here's $20. I really want to play a prank on my buddy, Mark. I need you, if you don't mind, and she was in on it, go down to him and say, excuse me, sir. Yes, can I see your ticket, please? And then say, I understand that you got into this game under false pretense, stating that you were a federal employee, and I'm going to need to see your employee ID. And if I don't, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave the game. And sure enough, she did. She went down there, and you can see Mark pointing. He's losing his mind. My buddy, Derek Baltimore, who's seated to the left, he knows me. He knows, oh, John's behind this. He's laughing and having a big time. And Mark's just going crazy and just saying, well, and you need to throw him out, blah, blah, blah. He was the one that lied, not me. Anyway, long story short, you got to have fun with your friends. And so that was my Mark Miller story. If you get a chance, be the honey badger is what I'm trying to make. Be all in to be a honey badger. So last but not least, my lesson number 10 is Tom Curry. Tom Curry is a legend within NAIFA. He's a past national president. So there's folks who serve at the local level. And then there's folks who serve at the state level, go through the chairs. Then there's some folks who serve on the board of trustees. And this is the governing body that basically helps make sure that the train stays on the track and that the message of our advocacy and all that good stuff gets out. And then you've got the president. Very rare air. There's very few people that have been a national president. Actually, Tom Curry is one who the people who invented Lilly back in the day. And this is actually, if you can see, Tom Curry's signature on my Lilly graduation certificate back in the day. Suffice to say, I'm a big fan of Tom. He plays the trombone. And the lesson I learned from Tom is that NAIFA is a beautiful orchestra. Find the instrument that works best for you and share your music with the people you care about. There are several people on this in this presentation that are watching it live today, as well as folks who are going to watch us after the fact, that are all you do is you help people at around age 65 get their Medicare supplements squared away. There's some folks who do like, look, I do life insurance and annuities and that's it. That's great. There's some folks like I'm all in the health insurance and the employee benefit space, and that's what I do. There's folks like me who do comprehensive fee-based planning and delegate things out to different NAIFA members so that we have cool, really neat symbiotic relationships. There's some people that do multi-line property and casualty insurance, which I don't do any of, and I share that information or those clients with NAIFA members as well. Long story short, we're one beautiful orchestra. There's some folks who play the flute, some people play the violin, some people play the drums, and always our national president is at the helm, kind of as the conductor every year, kind of conducting, make sure that we're all in the same tempo. And so that being said, I highly encourage you to become a NAIFA member, join the beautiful orchestra, but more importantly, back home where you live and work, share your heart, share the music of why you're in this business. If you wake up every morning and you're in this industry, odds are you have a purpose bigger than yourself. You have a family that you care about. These are great equalizers, regardless of where we live in the United States, regardless of what you see on TV. we have a lot more in common than we have different. And that's your ability to help make a difference in a person's life by giving back, by sharing the gifts to help people make decisions when it comes to their financial services, when it comes to insurance or investments or planning is a tremendous gift. And so you've been given this gift, use it and share with others. Now, I talked about the family at the national level. This is a picture of my local NAFA Nashville family. This is a bourbon tasting event that we had just actually last month. We are, as transitioning from COVID has become more and more, people are more free. Folks are being invited. They've gotten their vaccines. They're able to come out and be social. And so, long story short, we're like, look, we're all vaccinated up. Let's get together. It's about time we socialize again. So we did just that. We had a big bourbon tasting event, completely free to our members. Now, our local affiliate paid a lot of money for this event, but it was worth it because we had pent up demand for folks who want to get together, and it was free to our members. For those folks who wanted to be a NAFA member, who want to be a NAFA member, all you had to do was find somebody who's a NAFA member to come. So if you're a non-member, you come, you join NAFA. And if you're a NAFA member, you bring somebody. And so we had this guy right here in the middle. He was our bourbon connoisseur. And we all sat in this big U-shaped kind of area, and they had these little boxes with food, with just charcuterie and fun food to eat on and nibble on as we enjoyed the bourbon. So NAFA does local events like this. And I'm pretty sure in your neighborhood or whatever city or town you're in, there are local events like this that you're local. So yes, NAFA is a national organization, but there's also a state level and also a local level involvement. So, and if you don't know where your local or what local chapter meetings are being held, reach out to NAFA's home office. They'll be happy to put you in touch. And if not, I'm going to share my contact information on the end of this, our time together today. You're welcome to call me or email me, and I'll be happy to point you in the right direction. So again, this is my local NAFA. So I'm encouraging you guys today to join NAFA. Yes, this is a sales pitch. And I mean, obviously you can tell I'm passionate about it because I get this is my NAFA fan, but I want you to join. Just so you know, if you're new in the business, it's like $10 a month. If you've been in the business a while, it's like 50, 60 bucks. So it's incremental. As you become more and more successful in this industry, in this business, you can afford to pay a little bit more. And so if you think about $10 a month, that's what, 120 bucks a year. I know people that spend more of that on coffee at Starbucks or on Grubhub these days because everybody orders food to their house or whatever your guilty pleasure is when it comes to overspending. $10, you're not going to miss it. But what you will miss out by not being a member is the opportunity to join my larger NAFA family, to do life with some pretty amazing people, to travel to new places, and to create symbiotic relationships with some pretty cool folks. And so that being said, this is my contact information. Here's the disclaimer in the fine print at the bottom, just to make sure we're compliant. And that's my time. So I have noticed as I've been presenting, my little chat box has been blowing up with questions. So if you guys want to take a screenshot, you're welcome to grab my cell phone number, email, all that good stuff, and jot that down. Emily, if you want to come back and join us, I'm going to open the floor to questions. It's 12:39, so it looks like we got a few minutes to field questions from the floor. Emily, does that work for you?
Sorry, I was talking on mute, my own worst enemy. Yes. Thank you so much, John, for that presentation.
Sure.
And we, I was chiming in a few things, had some questions about the book and book title. As somebody who has tried hot chicken with John D. Richardson, I can attest to the fact that I was not able to come anywhere near completing anything to eat on the hottest option. But let's see. Sorry, John. I'm trying to make it so I'm on screen, and I don't know why I'm not.
Let me stop my share, and then those folks who are, again, you're here on the call. This is your time. I appreciate you guys taking time away from your business to learn more about NAFA and join us today. So if you're here, the floor, I'm here, and I'll be more than happy to answer questions. Luis, I've enjoyed you laughing at my jokes. Thanks for the instant feedback on my stories. I appreciate that. Marcus, I'm glad to see you're here. And we had
some other people and they've jumped. The one thing that I did want to say to the group is that later this month, so the second session of this will be on May 27th, which is actually the week of our congressional conference. And that's actually open to all insurance and financial advisors, and it's free to attend. And so we've got some legislators there. We once you register, we will set up appointments with your state senators so that you'll join with additional people from your constituents from your state to meet with your representative. And one of the things that we are going to do is, and John doesn't know this, this is the first time John's hearing this, but after the meeting with the appointments, I'm sorry, with your senators, we are going to have a happy hour that, that everybody in the Advisor Ambassador program, as well as our young advisor team, are invited to. Normally, if we were in person, we would be getting together in person and having a get together. So we're going to do it virtually and have a happy hour on May 26th at 5 p.m. Eastern. So, so hopefully you can join us. I know that we had a little bit of information about that that went out with your confirmation, but I will be sending additional information with links on that. But please consider joining us for the Congressional Conference. It's a great opportunity. John's been there numerous times. Actually, that was the first time I was able to meet John in person when I got sick on a bus.
Tour bus, that's right.
In DC traffic. So memorable.
Yep. Well, we've got a few more minutes left. Luis, do you have any questions for me? Or Marcus, do you have any questions for me? You can, Emily, I guess you can unmute their deal, right?
Yep, they can unmute themselves. So.
Hey, Luis.
Hi. No question at this time. I'm very clear about the information you already gave us. Thank you.
Absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, what part of town are you from?
Okay, I'm at this time I'm in Puerto Rico.
No way.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yes, sir. I work with Mutual of Omaha, South Florida Caribbean.
Okay.
So we report to South Florida division.
We actually have a chapter in Puerto Rico. There is a NAIFA chapter in Puerto Rico. Yes. Very small membership, but yes, we actually legitimately have a NAIFA chapter in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I was invited by Angel Rodriguez.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Well, and is he in Puerto Rico? Is he in?
He's in Puerto Rico.
Okay. Yep. So fantastic.
Yeah, Luis, I would encourage you again. You know, the purpose of the ambassador program is to give you a sample or a taste of what NAIFA is like as far as our members, and not all the members are as gregarious and outgoing as me. There's some folks who are a little bit on the reserve side, but we're a big family of different people. And if you trust your friend Angel or to come and join us today, then I'd love for you to come up. If you're in Puerto Rico, come and join us in DC in December, so I can meet you in person and introduce you to other people, because I love connecting people. That's one of my gifts, is just getting to know a person's story and saying, you need to meet so-and-so and so-and-so. And before you know it, you've got all these friends, and it's a good thing. Hey, Marcus.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Where are you in from? Marcus, where are you calling in from?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C.
No way.
Yep.
Very cool. So what did you take away from our time together today?
Well, appreciate the invite, and I'm glad that I found NAIFA. I'm definitely looking forward to the camaraderie, meeting different people in the same lane. I'm actually an investor, but also I travel the lanes of the life insurance, annuities, and whatnot, helping families to protect their retirements, and making sure their families are protected from the inevitable.
Right.
So yeah, I appreciate your speech and everything, and I'm definitely looking forward to being a member. I've actually been in the insurance field only, I guess, since COVID started, a year.
Wow.
I started maybe 10 years ago, but I kind of got out of it because I kind of only did it because my dad was doing it at the time, one of those things. But as I invest in real estate is one of the things I invest in. And I realized people have been asking me, they like to invest. But my first thing is, are you investing in yourself? Do you have protections to protect what you have right now? You're working, you're making money. You're ready to take that money that you have and risk it somewhere, but you don't have anything in place to protect it that's permanently protecting your family and your financial. So, I mean, it made me get my license back together and start helping families from that angle. And it's actually helped my business in real estate investing. People that want to invest in trades, stock market investments and everything. Like, you know what? That's probably like my first focal point of business is when they come to me asking the questions like, hey, do you have your life insurance in place? Well, let's talk about protecting your family. Let's talk about your 401k plan, you know? So I'm looking for other people to network with, like NAFA, you know, saying people with like minds and to help me potentially sell more. And I mean, more importantly, help more families.
That's great. And you know, Marcus and Luis, for you too, I didn't realize this when I put this PowerPoint together, but these 10 people, some of them you probably won't run into. You may not, you may or may not, because they're local here to Tennessee. But the Corey Andersons, the Tom Curry, Brian Haney, who's actually our speaker in 2 weeks, come back, listen to Brian's story. Again,
Okay.
He's awesome. He's in the DC area. But when you come to these events that we have, like I said, in DC, organs, we usually have our big Performance Plus Purpose conference, and it travels from state to state. So Luis, we've had it in Texas and San Antonio. We've had it in San Diego. We've had it in down in Orlando at Disney World. We've had it different places. So when you're there, you're making all kinds of new friends. You're making connections. Your LinkedIn profile grows a little bit for your friends, and you make friends for life. And it's just so much fun. So everything you said is there. But those people, if there's anybody that's like, hey, you're Tom Curry, he's going to look at you like, how do you know who I am? Let me guess, you play the trombone, right? He's like, wait, how did you know that? It's like, oh, well, John Richardson in the ambassador program mentioned that you're one of his top 10, people that he, in the family that he thinks highly of. And so long story short, he mentioned you and talked about, playing the music and so forth. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to get connected. And so if you want to use these names as a starter list to go play Where's Waldo and find these people and kind of like a bingo card, I don't care. And what's great is that if word gets out that, wow, John, there's a video out there and John talks about me, what did he say? Especially Mark Miller. He may be mad at me today, but it's all good,
So, and then Brian Haney, who John talked about, is actually the advisor ambassador who's doing the program in May the second session in May. He's also based in DC. So, so make sure that you tune into that, because you'll have an immediate connection with somebody that you can go, grab coffee with.
There you go. Thank you.
Get some ideas. So yes, make sure that you guys are signed up. So with the program, it's 2 sessions per month. So this was the first session, and then the second one will be May 27th, same time, same link, with Brian Haney. So looking forward to that.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, that's it. Time-wise, Emily, we got a few more minutes. Any final questions, Luis or Marcus? Otherwise, I'll let you guys get back to your workday. And Luis, you good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
No question.
Well,
Any other question?
Luis, I'm so glad you turned your camera on, because I'm telling my stories, and I know my stories because I've lived them, right? But then the instant feedback with your facial expressions, especially with the hot chicken, because you've had some spicy food in your life, and you know of people that have wiped that that mess in their eyes and wondering, what was I thinking? We've all been there, right?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Interesting enough, you brought up the Nationals game, and I was bringing my son from basketball practice just last night, and they were playing last night. They were actually in the top of the 7th, losing the game, and we were gonna try to go into the game. And to your point, I've been to the games plenty of times and worked out some deals and getting in.
That's right.
So
it doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah,
right?
my dad always says you never know until you ask.
That's right. Be bold. Well, again, guys, it's a pleasure getting to know y'all. Look forward to meeting in person in the future. You're in good hands with Emily. Go to NAIFA.org, NAIFA.org. I think it's like belong.NAIFA.org. Is that right?
You can just go to NAIFA.org and then under membership.
Yeah. Okay. And if you don't want to pay the $10 to join, whoever invited you to this, get them to pay for it. And then,
oh yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, I'm gonna sign up immediately.
Very cool. Again, pleasure to meet y'all, and hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Same to you. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.